Hi everybody, it's Debbie from the Inspiration Station. Welcome back to my channel. As promised, I'm going to work on a process video today. I'm participating in the LOAD challenge over at scraphappy.org. LOAD stands for Layout a Day, and this month, February, is one of the events that I usually participate in. It's a lot of fun. Every day, Alice gives you a different story prompt and technique prompt, and you're free to do whatever you want. You can go off prompt if you want, but it's kind of nice to have someone give you that story prompt because it makes you think of things you wouldn't normally scrapbook. So I really enjoy doing it. Sometimes I just can't come up with anything, but other times, it really makes me think. So anyway, today's prompt, today is February 2nd, and the prompt today has to do with home and who or what makes your home. So I have no idea which photos I'm going to use at this point, but I did start pulling together a kit, a page kit, I guess you would call it. I started pulling some papers and embellishments and things that I want to use. So the first thing, I actually found some of the ephemera came from Jen Hadfield and I think it was Paige Evans. Yeah, Paige Evans' Bungalow Lane had a few of these embellishments, and that kind of started my whole color scheme. I went into Simple Stories and had this. This is all 6x8 paper, by the way, and I'm going to try and work with just the 6x8 paper other than the base cardstock. So Simple Stories, this is Spring Farmhouse, had the Home Sweet Home, and as it would have it, one of the Jen Hadfield papers I had is from the Avenues, and this paper I thought looked really nice with it. This is also a Jen Hadfield. I'm not sure if it was from the Avenue or one of her other lines, maybe Reaching Out. It was already torn out of the pad, so I'm not sure, but I really liked that. The ephemera card, which was, I thought looked perfect, came from the Avenues, from the 6x8 pad. And then these two pieces came from a Park Lane paper pad called Americana. And I love the combination with the black and the sage green and then this mustard yellow. I thought it was really pretty. So this is what I'm going to work with. It works well with some of the embellishments that I pulled out. The style on this one is probably not going to work for me, but that was the first thing I thought of when I talked about home, is that we're homebodies. We stay home. So everything's going to be about cozy and staying home. I do know that. I'm just trying to figure out which photos to use. I do have this title that came from Jen Hadfield sticker sheet, Heart and Home. Not sure if I'm going to use that or not. We'll see. And then I pulled out a whole bunch of enamel dots. And I can't tell you who they came from because, as you can see, I pull them apart. I cut my enamel dots apart, and I've been putting them onto index cards by color so that if I need a certain color, I can just grab it. So I found some of these that I think, may work really well. I've got the dark green that kind of goes with the black. We've got this medium green. The beige I like. I just think it might tie in nicely. I have some cream, and which would go nicely with that. The mustard brings out that color in the plaid as well. And then, of course, this set of green, which has this almost like a jadeite green kind of mix in there. So I have a lot of greens to choose from. I have the beige. I really like the ivory and the mustard as well. So that's what I'm going to work with. I have no idea where I'm going from here. So I'm going to, and my base cardstock is Simple Stories Color Vibe in their warm white color. I have a really hard time matching the colors in different papers when they're not quite white, but they're not quite cream either. So the warm white tends to work really well for that. So that's what I'm using as my base. All right, so I'm going to stop the camera, give some thought to my photos and what I'm going to do about laying it out, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back, and as you can see, I am nowhere near what I thought I was going to do when I started. It always seems to happen that way. I get an idea for a page, and then when I start pulling things together, everything goes awry, and I end up with something totally different. So here's what I have so far. I matted my warm white paper with a gray basil paper. It's called Thunder, so that I have the mat. I did gut the back of it so that I can use the rest of the gray elsewhere. I came up with this basic design that I wanted to do, and what I did, because I really love this plaid paper, is I cut out where it was going to be covered up. So that part, it'll end up sort of like this. I did cut the house paper was a 6 by 8, so I cut that into 3 inches by, let's see what I ended up doing. Looks like about 7 inches. I cut an inch off the bottom. And so those are going to go in here. I think that's how it's going to go. And I really loved this paper, but then I decided to do a 5 by 7 photo, and once I'm at it, you're not really going to be able to see a lot of it, but it's okay. I kind of like it. I was going to move this up just a little bit because I want room for my title. So we're going to move that up. And I fussy cut the Home Sweet Home from that paper that I showed in the beginning. And so that I think is going to go there. I fussy cut the flowers. I'm going to tuck those under there. And then I dug out one of my favorite die sets, which is Tim Holtz Greenery, Mini Greenery, I think it's called. What is it called? Garden Greens. And this particular die, which ends up looking like this, is one of my most used dies. And I happen to keep, whenever I die cut, I punch a bunch of extras of these, or die cut a bunch of extra, and I keep them on hand. And this particular color, which is also a Tim Holtz color, I think it's been discontinued. It's one of his coordination papers, and it was, if I can remember correctly, I believe it was Bundled Sage. And I love this paper. I use it all the time. I need to find more of it. But anyway, so these are going to come down here, I believe, and build that up a little bit. I have not used any of the pieces yet that I had wanted to. That may end up in there. I'm not really sure, but I will end up putting I can't speak today. Enamel dots, that's what they are. Be using the enamel dots. And I did find an ephemera pack or bits and pieces pack from the Simple Stories Spring Farmhouse. So I may open that up and use some more of the florals on there. But as you can see, I did not use any of the ones that I started to because I was going to do something totally different when I thought I was going to use other photos. And then I decided to print one of our house when we finished building it. So that's where I'm at. So let me stick everything down and come back and see where I'm at. Okay, be right back. So you may have noticed right here that I messed up and flipped my papers around so that the plaid that I wanted on the right is now on the left. It's going to take me a minute or two to realize my mistake, but eventually I do figure it out. And thankfully the double-sided tape that I'm using comes up pretty easily in the beginning, so I was able to peel the pieces off and remove them and turn it around the correct way. And I couldn't believe I didn't notice it earlier. So with full disclosure, you'll see I also ran out of adhesive partway through and had to switch over to my 3L brand, which I love. And then I put the photo on crooked because my cat was talking to me. So yeah, that's how things go. Here I used some foam tape to put the home on, and I actually dropped it a little too soon. That does not have forgiveness when you stick it down. When that sticks, it sticks. And I had to struggle with it. It left a little bit of mark on the photo. I don't care. I'm covering it up. But yeah, that was just sort of the way things were going at that point. I really shouldn't craft that late at night. Anyway, here's the flowers and the die cuts that I had cut from the Tim Holtz die, and I didn't like the way the black was showing between the suite and home, so I was trying to squeeze some leaves under there. They were giving me a struggle. I finally decided to just glue them down, and I ripped off one of the leaves, glued it back on. You know, these are the things that happen in real world scrapping. So yeah, there it goes. Decided it still needed that end, so I glued it back on. And then the flowers, again, I needed them popped up. I didn't really pop them up at first. I was going to try and tuck them under the Home Sweet Home, but it just didn't work. So I glue my greenery to the back of the piece. Needed another one, so I added that in. And then you'll see I take out my big mega roll of foam tape. I love this tape, and people ask me where I get it because it's such a huge roll, but it's Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. They have two thicknesses, and I like the really thin one, which is what I'm using here, because I don't like a lot of huge dimension in my scrapbook. I do a lot of pages, and they get too thick, so the thinner sheets or thinner strips are better for me, so that's what I used here. So I have to apologize for the choppiness of the editing on the video. For some reason, my camera decided to slow everything down into extreme slow motion through a lot of the footage, and I lost a lot of it. So here's my finished page. You can see that I did finally use one of the pieces of ephemera that I had pulled out because that little house was one of the things that gave me my color palette. One of the things that got lost in the footage was me adding these tiny little flowers. These are die cuts from a Tim Holtz tropical line. I love them because they're cute little size. They fit in pretty much anywhere you want, and they just add a little pop of color. So this is what I finished. It's obviously nowhere near what I was thinking in the beginning. I originally thought I was going to do something with smaller photos, coziness, having to do with, staying home, and it just didn't work that way. That's how I roll. But I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I apologize if the editing is choppy because I did lose quite a bit of footage. But hope you enjoyed it. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below. I love to read your comments. Let me know if you have any ideas of why my camera would have slowed down to extreme crawl. I have no idea why that happened. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I really appreciate subscribers, and I will be back again. Like I said, I'm doing load this month, so a layout a day is the plan. And so you should be seeing several more layouts coming up. So until then, enjoy your crafting. Bye.